Raymond Hart Massey was a Canadian-American actor, known for his commanding, stage-trained voice. For his lead role in Abe Lincoln in Illinois, Massey was nominated for the Academy Award for Best Actor. He was also well known for playing Dr.Gillespie in Dr.Gillespie. Early life. Massey was born in Toronto, Ontario, the son of Anna, who was American-born, and Chester Daniel Massey, the wealthy owner of the Massey-Harris Tractor Company and son of Hart Massey and grandson of founder Daniel Massey. His branch of the Massey family emigrated to Canada from New England a few years before the War of 1812. Their ancestors having migrated from England to the Massachusetts colony in the 1630s. He attended secondary school briefly at Upper Canada College before transferring to Appleby College in Oakville, Ontario, and taking several courses at University of Toronto, where he was an active member of the Kappa Alpha Society. He later graduated from Balliol College, Oxford. At the outbreak of World War I, Massey joined the Canadian Army, serving with the artillery on the Western Front. He returned to Canada suffering shell shock and was engaged as an Army instructor for American officers at Yale University. In 1918, he was sent to serve in Siberia, where he made his first stage appearance, entertaining American troops on occupation duty. Severely wounded in action in France, he was sent home, where he eventually worked in the family business, selling farm implements. Acting career. Drawn to the theatre, he first appeared on the London stage in 1922. His first movie role was in High Treason. In 1929 he directed the London premiere of The Silver Tassie. In 1931 he played Sherlock Holmes in The Speckled Band, the first sound film version of the story. In 1934 he starred in The Scarlet Pimpernel, and in 1936 he starred in Things to Come, a film adaptation by H.G. Wells of his own speculative novel, The Shape of Things to Come. In 1944 Massey played the district attorney in Fritz Lang's classic film noir, The Woman in the Window, which starred Edward G. Robinson and Joan Bennett. Despite his being Canadian, Massey became famous for playing archetypal U.S. historical figures. He portrayed the American Revolutionary War character Abraham Farlan, who hated the British for making him a casualty of that war, in the 1946 film A Matter of Life and Death. He also played abolitionist, insurrectionist John Brown in two films, Santa Fe Trail and again in the low-budget film 7 Angry Men. The character of Brown is portrayed as a wild-eyed lunatic in Santa Fe Trail, whereas he is a well-intentioned but misguided character in the more sympathetic 7 Angry Men. Massey scored a great triumph on Broadway in Robert E. Sherwood's play Abe Lincoln in Illinois, despite American reservations about Lincoln being portrayed by a Canadian, and he repeated his role in the 1940 film version. Massey again portrayed Lincoln in The Day Lincoln Was Shot on Ford's Star Jubilee, and, in a wordless appearance, in How the West Was Won. A fellow actor is said to have remarked that Massey wouldn't be satisfied with his Lincoln impersonation until someone assassinated him. On stage in a dramatic reading of Stephen Vincent Bennett's John Brown's Body, Massey, in addition to narrating along with Tyrone Power and Judith Anderson, took on both the roles of John Brown and Abe Lincoln in the same work. Raymond Massey played a Canadian on screen only once, in 49th Parallel. Also in 1941, Massey starred in George Bernard Shaw's The Doctor's Dilemma, opposite Catherine Cornell, opening just 1 week before Pearl Harbor. During the war, he teamed up with Cornell and other leading actors in a revival of Shaw's Candide to benefit the Army Emergency Fund and the Navy Relief Society. Massey portrayed the character of Jonathan Brewster in the film version of Arsenic and Old Lace. The character had been created by Boris Karloff for the stage version, and the character was written to resemble Karloff. Even though the film was released in 1944, it was shot in 1941, at which time Karloff was still contracted to the Broadway play, and could not be released for the filming. Unlike his co-stars Josephine Hull, Gene Adair and John Alexander, Massey and Karloff had appeared together in James Whale's suspense film The Old Dark House. Massey rejoined the Canadian Army for World War II, though he was eventually released from service and returned to acting work. Following the war, Massey became an American citizen. His memorable film roles after that included the husband of Joan Crawford during her Oscar-nominated role in Possessed and the doomed publishing tycoon Gail Wynand in The Fountainhead, opposite Gary Cooper. In 1955, he starred in East of Eden as Adam Trask, father of Cal, played by James Dean, and Aaron, played by Richard Davalos. Massey became well known on television in the 1950s and 1960s. He was cast in 1960 as Sir Oliver Garnet in the episode Trunk Full of Dreams of the NBC Western series Riverboat. In the storyline, Garnet is part of a floating theater on the river vessel, the Enterprise. Bethel Leslie is cast as Juliet, Willard Wortman as de Lesseps, and Mary Tyler Moore as Lily Bell de Lesseps. Massey is particularly remembered as Dr. Gillespie in the popular 1961-1966 NBC series Dr. Kildare, with Richard Chamberlain in the title role. Massey and his son, Daniel, were cast as father and son in the Queen's Guards. Personal life. Massey was married 3 times. Marjorie Fremantle from 1921 to 1929. They had 1 child, architect Geoffrey Massey. Adrienne Allen from 1929 to 1939. Allen was a London and Broadway stage actress. They had 2 children who followed him into acting, Anna Massey and Daniel Massey. Dorothy Whitney from 1939 until her death in 1982. His high-profile estrangement and then divorce from Adrienne Allen was the inspiration for Ruth Gordon and Garson Cannon's script for the film Adam's Rib, starring Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy. And indeed, Massey married the lawyer who represented him in court, Dorothy Whitney, while his then former wife, Allen, married the opposing lawyer, William Dwight Whitney. Raymond Massey's older brother was Vincent Massey, the first Canadian-born Governor-General of Canada. Raymond Massey also dabbled in politics, appearing in a television advertisement in 1964 in support of the conservative Republican presidential nominee Barry Goldwater of Arizona. Massey denounced U.S. President Lyndon B. Johnson for a no-win strategy in the Vietnam War, suggesting that Goldwater would pursue an aggressive strategy and win the war quickly. Massey died of pneumonia in Los Angeles, California on July 29, 1983, a month before he would have turned 87. That was the same day as the death of David Niven, who had co-starred with him in The Prisoner of Zenda and A Matter of Life and Death. Massey is buried in New Haven, Connecticut's Beaverdale Memorial Park. Honors. Massey has 2 stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, 1 for movies at 1719 Vine Street and 1 for television at 6708 Hollywood Boulevard. His achievements have also been recognized in a signature cocktail. The Raymond Massey Filmography. Radio appearances.